This is downright embarrassing. Unrivaled just revealed their big Season 2 roster. And the sound you're hearing right now? That's silence. Especially for Napheesa Collier, who spent the entire WNBA offseason buttering up the WNBA's biggest stars to join Unrivaled. No Caitlin Clark. No Angel Reese. No A'ja Wilson. No Sabrina Ionescu. Every major star that could have made this league relevant basically ghosted them. This wasn't a scheduling conflict. This wasn't timing. This was a mass-coordinated rejection. The supposed future of women's basketball can't even recruit the women who actually move the sport forward. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. The reason these stars walked away exposes something really ugly under the surface. By the time we're done here, you're going to see why Unrivaled might be wobbling on its last legs, and why anyone still signing up might be walking into a mistake they'll regret. Now listen to how Unrivaled hyped this up. Big announcements coming, 2 spots left, major reveals incoming. That's how they teased it. They genuinely thought they were cooking something. Fans were speculating. Media pages were waiting. People assumed they'd landed at least one head-turning name. Then, the so-called final reveal hits. And it's Ari McDonald, Rebecca Allen, and Dominique Malonga. Respectfully, those are solid WNBA pros. But if you spend weeks building suspense like you're about to announce Beyoncé, and you show up with 3 solid but not box office players, that's not revolutionary. That's false advertising. Imagine Apple promising a world-changing innovation and unveiling a slightly shinier cable. That's the level we're talking about here. Look at this roster. 48 players, plenty of legit talent on paper. Stewart, Collier, Plum, Chelsea Gray. It reads like a who's who of WNBA vets. But here's the lesson the league refuses to accept. Talent doesn't automatically equal attention. Storylines do. Personalities do. Cultural gravity does. The WNBA existed for decades with great players. Ratings didn't explode until Caitlin Clark arrived and dragged the sport into mainstream relevance by herself. One star. One storyline. One catalyst. Casual fans don't tune in for depth or parity. They tune in for the one player who breaks through the noise. And Unrivaled failed to get even one. Not one storyline driver, not one magnet for new eyeballs. Just a roster full of solid doesn't trend. Solid doesn't make SportsCenter. Solid doesn't get you 3 million viewers on a Tuesday. And the wildest part? They had those stars already. Angel Reese played last season. Sabrina Ionescu played last season. They experienced the league, loved the format, enjoyed the Miami experience, smiled on camera, cashed their checks, and still walked away. That's not an oversight. That's a verdict. Go back and listen to Angel talk about Unrivaled last season. She was glowing. It was the first time in forever I could just hoop and be happy. She called it refreshing, peaceful, pure. That wasn't fake enthusiasm, she meant it. So ask yourself, if she loved it that much, then why didn't she return? Simple. Loving the vibes is not the same as being paid your worth. Angel Reese isn't just an athlete, she's a phenomenon. She doesn't just rebound, she breaks the internet. Every clip, every quote, every outfit becomes content. She is controversy, charisma, and conversation rolled into one. That has value. Real, measurable, market-driving value. She knew it, and she asked to be paid like it. I love it, but cut the check. That's not entitlement, that's leverage. And apparently Unrivaled didn't have the bag, which is honestly hilarious. They raised millions, they bragged about infrastructure, they expanded from 36 to 48 players, and somehow couldn't afford the woman who literally carried their PR last season. Either the investors are tighter than advertised, or they greatly underestimated the worth of star power. Spoiler, it's both. When you stretch the same money across more roster slots, someone loses. And somehow, they let the biggest marketing engine walk. Terrible business. And it's not just Angel. A'ja Wilson, the reigning 3-time MVP, took one look at Season 2 and basically said, "Yeah, I'm good. No drama, no excuses. Just a clean, no thanks." And that's where the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. If your past stars don't return, if your biggest targets don't sign, if your marquee names are publicly choosing anything else over your league, that's not a recruiting issue. That's a credibility crisis. Because don't get fooled. These stars didn't leave by accident. They saw the business model, saw the leadership, saw the direction, and dipped. They watched Unrivaled founders, like Collier, try to build a power circle and then realized the league's future of women's basketball pitch had more glitter than substance. They realized that chasing trendy buzzwords like player run and athlete empowerment only works if you have the talent anchor to justify it. And there's only one athlete in women's basketball right now who can anchor an entire ecosystem, Caitlin Clark. And she said no. Loudly, with her silence. That's the part that's most brutal for Collier. She built this league, tried attaching herself to Caitlin publicly, tried inserting Caitlin's name into every interview like they were aligned. And Caitlin didn't even send a text back. For all the "we care about Caitlin" press tour, Collier did this off-season. The minute Caitlin had a choice, she chose not to stand next to them. That's not scheduling. That's a rejection letter, hand-delivered. Sabrina Ionescu. I'm actually surprised Sabrina didn't do it. She got a sweet deal last year. What, she played like 10 games, if that. Stuck up to Joy for $1 million. Came and went. Yeah. Here's my schedule, and I'll show up when I show up, and you'll take it. I'm surprised Sabrina didn't try to get another deal just like that. And then Caitlin Clark, we knew Caitlin Clark wasn't doing this. Come on. So what does Unrivaled actually have going for it right now? They landed Kelsey Mitchell, an elite scorer, one of the most dynamic offensive weapons in the league. They landed Aaliyah Boston, a franchise center, a future Hall-level talent, the backbone of Indiana's future alongside Caitlin Clark. They've got Lexi Hull, who became a cult hero during the Fever's playoff push. These are real players. They can hoop, they can compete, and in a 3-on-3 setting they'll put on a show. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Good doesn't sell. Solid doesn't move TV deals. You don't win attention battles in a crowded sports world with quality role-player energy. You need appointment viewing. You need transcendence. And Unrivaled somehow managed to collect everything except that. But here's where the conversation gets interesting. What about the ones who did sign? What does that tell us? Because it's not like the 48 women on the roster are clueless or desperate. These are professional athletes, many of whom could have played overseas or signed anywhere internationally. They each have agents, endorsements, brands, and fan followings. So why did they say yes while the biggest names in women's basketball sprinted in the opposite direction? The answer reveals a harsh economic reality. Most WNBA players still live in a financial world where opportunity means survival. The average salary hovers around $120,000. Not broke, but not sit out a season money. And when someone offers another 6-figure check for a few months in Miami, for most players, that's life-changing. This is the Unrivaled roster right now. These are the people that Unrivaled has. This is the final clip right here. Alyssa Thomas, Rakia Jackson, Satu Sabali, Paige, Sanaya Rivers, Erica Wheeler, Brianna Stewart, Lexi Hull, Azrae Stevens, Jackie Young, Sonia Citrone, Veronica Burton, Kay Moore, Dearica Hamby, Natasha Cloud, Aaliyah Edwards, Kiki Iriafin, Monique Billings, Napheesa Collier, Ray Burrell, what up, right? Chelsea Gray, Brittany Sykes, Kelsey Mitchell, Naz Zellman, Carr Copper, Alicia Gray, Shakira Austin, Courtney Williams, Sug Sutton, Natisha Heidemann, Skylar Diggins, Brittany Griner, Ryan Howard, Aaliyah Boston, Ezzy Magobor, Rachel Badham, Cameron Brink, Arike Ongumbawale, Marina Mabry, Maddie Seagrass, Alana Smith, Jordan Canada, Lee from 3, Yuru, Kelsey Plum, Dana Evans, Erin McDonald, Rebecca Allen, and Dominique Mailanga. Asia Wilson doesn't need that. Angel Reese doesn't need that. Caitlin Clark definitely doesn't need that. Those women have power, leverage, options. They can choose. And that's exactly why Unrivaled desperately needed them. When your entire marketing strategy is, look, the stars are here, and the stars ghost you, your pitch collapses instantly. And listen to how the league tried to spin it. Some players are still in productive talks. Translation: we tried to pay them like mid-tier players and they laughed us out of the room. We respect players needing time to make big decisions. Translation: we can't afford them, so we're pretending this is about empowerment instead of budgets. This is PR damage control 101. They saw this disaster coming weeks ago, and instead of being honest, they tried to sprinkle glitter over a dumpster fire, and they dared to tease fans. Big announcements coming soon. Then, delivered, bench depth press release names. You cannot hype up the crowd like you're announcing Beyoncé and then wheel out a karaoke singer at Applebee's. That's how you lose not just fans but trust. Let's talk ripple effects. Year 1, Unrivaled was new. Mystique alone gets you curiosity clicks. Sprinkle Angel Reese's personality, Sabrina's skill, Miami nightlife, pastel-colored dunks, and a little, we're changing women's sports. Energy. Boom. People watch to see what's happening. But in year 2, without Caitlin, without Angel, without Asia, without Sabrina, that mystique evaporates. There's no must-see. There's no headline generator. There's no story. In sports, fans don't follow formats. Fans follow heroes. They follow villains. They follow drama. And Caitlin Clark is the central gravitational force of women's basketball right now. When the brightest star refuses to orbit your planet, gravity collapses. And let's be honest, fans aren't tuning into 3-on-3 basketball because they love the number 3. They're tuning in to see their people, their favorites, their emotional investments. Without the stars, Unrivaled is just summer league with good lighting. Meanwhile, fans can scroll Instagram and get Caitlin Clark's highlights, Lexi Hull jokes, and off-season workouts in real time. Why would they watch a league that doesn't have the one face they actually rearrange their schedules for? But the business side is where the real cracks show. Investors poured millions into this experiment. They expected growth. They expected buzz. They expected year 2 to scale. Instead, they got a soft roster, a mass star exodus, and a very public no thanks from every woman who moves merchandise. Investor confidence shattered. Because investors aren't sentimental, they read signals. If Angel Reese, who loved the experience, walks away, something's wrong. If Sabrina, who cashed checks there, doesn't return, something's off. And if Caitlin Clark won't even entertain the pitch, that's not a scheduling conflict. That's a brand value verdict. That says, this isn't worth my time. And don't forget Asia Wilson. The reigning MVP basically looked at the concept and said, hard pass. You don't bounce back from that kind of no. When 4 of the most influential women in the sport refuse to step in your arena, that's your business model tapping out. Then there's the content strategy. Remember the Brittany Griner, give her the runway so she can dunk moment? That wasn't basketball. That was manufactured viral bait. And sure, entertainment and sports always blend, but they burned the authenticity bridge immediately. Fans want organic moments, not TikTok-engineered highlight reels. Caitlin Clark didn't need choreographed clips. She pulled up from the logo and shook an entire sport. That's why people flew across the country to see her. That's why arenas sold out. Authentic greatness beats curated look at us, energy every single time. And here's the bigger truth nobody wants to admit. Women's sports are finally exploding because the right star finally arrived. Growth is real, but fragile. Investors saw Caitlin's era coming and suddenly wallets opened. Nike deals, viewership spikes, sold-out arenas. Suddenly everyone wanted to build a new league, a new idea, a new platform for women. But here's the harsh law of new markets. Hype brings opportunists. Real ecosystems take time, roots, trust. Unrivaled tried to leapfrog the whole process on vibes and venture capital. They forgot one thing. You cannot manufacture relevance without the person who makes the sport relevant. Then they expanded the roster, spreading cash thinner. Let go of the only transcendent marketing personality they had. Watched star after star politely decline, and slapped motivational tape over the cracks. This doesn't scream, we're building the future. It screams, we raised money, didn't plan for year 2, and hoped charisma could cover logistics. At the end of the day, this whole situation exposes one thing. The women who left aren't just stars, they're strategy. And Unrivaled just lost the war for attention before the season even tipped off. Because in women's basketball today, there is one truth every startup league must face.